Indians working in the US have gotten the biggest shock of their lives. Yesterday, President Trump mentioned that any American company hiring foreign workers on H-1B visa will have to pay $100,000 every year to the US government in the form of a fee. Which means every Indian who will be hired by an American company, well, that company in the US will have to pay 88 lakh rupees, not one time, but every single year. Now, this means that practically all the Indians working in the US and are not already US citizens may have to come back. Because right now, this is a presidential order, and whether it's going to sustain in the US Congress or not, we can't really say.
Due to the current circumstances, obviously, that are unprecedented for us here at Emirates.
So that was an Emirates flight from the United States to India. And as you can see in that video, that was the moment people found out that Trump's new H-1B visa rule has gone into effect. And if they leave the country, they're not going to be able to come back in the country. So people started deboarding. They started because, yeah, H-1B people who are in America right now cannot leave America. The ones outside, if they want to come in, it's going to cost them $100,000. Like, it's crazy.
To my Indian Republicans who claim they voted for Trump because of his anti-illegal immigration, but pro-H-1B immigration stance.
This pretty much ensures that that's what's going to happen.
What did I say? 75% of people on H-1Bs are Indian. 75%. You know, you guys could have had everything. You could have claimed that you were the highest earner, most highly educated, and one of you was also president of the free world. I honestly can't even imagine what that would have done for your superiority complexes. You would have been even more insufferable. But you would have had to share that title with black women. And that to you was, for whatever reason, a bridge too far. It's for illegal immigrants. How many times do I have to tell you, you aren't special? Like, it's so wild that you think because you came here on a flight instead of on foot that you're special. You're fucking not. You're not. They hate us all. But now that we're all recognizing this together, including this guy, I think everybody in the room should take stock of where we are. We've already hit tariffs and visas. What do you think is coming next? If I were a betting woman, green cards, permanent resident statuses, they are going to look into your visa applications. Any of you guys going for citizenship? Oh my God, the way that they are going to comb through those applications for errors, you know, there are errors. Just wait till they try to figure out how you got your nanny here. You know what? For the next 6 hours, this has nothing to do with me. I'm going to go back to bed, and then later we'll reconvene to assess the damage you've contributed to.
We will compare the number of Indian H-1B visa holders to the total population of Indians in the United States. I know this is really hard to see, but if you don't want to take my word for it, you can find this information on the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services website. In 2019, Indians accounted for 74.5% of H-1B visas. On that same website, this provides information about the estimated number of H-1B beneficiaries in the United States. There's a range in 2019, so to tilt the number in your favor, let's take the lowest number, which is 619,327. So 74.5% of the 619,327 H-1B beneficiaries means approximately 461,398 are Indian. And at that time, there were an estimated 4 million Indians in the United States, which means that 11.5% of Indians in the United States in 2019 were H-1B beneficiaries. But that 4 million includes all Indians in the United States, not just working age. So that's children, working age, and retired. So to find the number of households who have an H-1B beneficiary, I divided by 3.13% because that's the average size of the United States household. So 36% of Indian households have an H-1B visa recipient. The other thing about H-1B visas is they are non-immigrant, but they are dual intention, which means an H-1B visa is a path to applying for a green card and receiving citizenship. So there's no knowing how many more Indian households include working family members who had an H-1B visa but now have green cards or are now citizens. So it would be even higher. But 36% is not null. That is, in fact, more significant than I thought it would be.
You were born in the U.S., but your parents are illegal? Then that makes you illegal too. This is Vivek Ramaswamy, and he's running for the U.S. president. Let's watch this video real quick.
I would end birthright citizenship for illegal immigrants. If somebody comes to this country illegally and has a child while here, I do think we have to end birthright citizenship.
But does that mean you deport like a 1-year-old?
I think you would do the family.
might have seen the Trump's new proclamation about $100,000 for H-1B visa. So if you are in India right now, or if you know anyone in India right now, if they board the flight and if they come to United States before 21st morning 12:01, everything will be okay. So if you know anyone, please forward this. And if you know anyone who is on H-1B in India right now, tell them to board the flight as soon as possible.
H-1B program was created in the 1990s.
H-1B was 1990s. It was a split of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952.
Right. The reason why so many Indian people are here in the first place, after World War II, after India gained independence from England, there was a need for highly educated people to end up running things in India. The government spent a bunch of money to educate people. What they didn't do was create the jobs that those people would then need to take. Same time in America, in the 60s, there was a real estate crisis. There was a financial crisis. There was the Vietnam War. So there was this huge brain drain, literally just people going to war. People were unemployed. People didn't have shit to do. People's finances were bad. A lot of people were in the shitter. Same time, America needed smart people. Created this program to have Indian people come over there, and they were all educated. Came over here in places like Alabama, Texas, wherever. Those people end up in motels. They ended up becoming doctors. They ended up becoming engineers. Now we have 2 or 3 generations later, the kids of rich kids, the kids of those people, the grandkids of those people running amok as American people.
2 things I want to go over. 1, we were right about right-wingers just hating immigrants, period, not just illegal immigrants. Because they're doing a victory lap about this H-1B visa thing. We are effectively barring high-skilled immigrants from showing up anymore. In addition to the low-skill ones employed by tech companies that pay nothing. The second thing is that unconfirmed, but it's apparent that a White House official said this only applies to new applicants, not renewals. However, this is already after companies like Microsoft put out letters like this saying you guys need to get back to the United States today. Just like a lot of Trump's policies, it's immediate, really confusing, and racist. And of course it has a giant humanitarian impact on working American families. Honest working people's business trips and personal vacations and going back home to see family just got uprooted in the blink of an eye because Stephen Miller put this on Trump's desk and said you should sign it because it's great. This is not legally enforceable for the record. Good fucking luck getting everyone to pay all this money. The amount of administrative overhead this requires to hunt these people down and get the $100,000 or throw them in jail / deport them is insane. It's not going to happen, and I do think this is going to be blocked by courts, but for the time being, it's been 10 hours and it's still here, so. We'll have more updates as they become available, I guess. Another wrench in the Trump administration machine, I suppose. There's just something new and terrible that just hurts a bunch of people for no reason every day.
Just in, the American government has been scrutinized by India, saying that they are stopping Indian students from entering the US. Previously, during COVID, if a student applied for a visa from a third country, so that means if you're an Indian student, you go to Singapore, and then you apply for an American visa through Singapore, that would be easier to get into the US. The US has now banned that completely. And from September 2025, what will happen is that all students, international students that come into the US will have to apply for a student visa from their home country. Now, this is going to stop a massive influx of Indian students into the US because most Indian students come through a third country. This is a growing trend globally, especially in Australia. A lot of Indian students come through Ireland or whatnot. So this is going to stop completely, and the Indian students are pissed.
Crazy turn of events. My boyfriend had to get up out of our Italian pasta making class in Rome and leave. I kid you not, leave. Not the class, leave Rome because of the whole H-1B $100,000 situation that's going into effect Saturday at midnight, and it's literally Saturday midday in Rome right now, so he had to be on the next flight back to make it in time. And so now I'm here solo, but he booked the next flight to anywhere in the US he could find, which is crazy. He'll be fine. Italian vacations can happen again, like, not stressed, but it does make me wonder about, number one, people that can't just drop of a hat, buy a ticket back, or are number two, too far away in a different country to make it back in time, who have just like had their entire world flipped upside down overnight because it came into effect and happened so quickly. These are times we live in. Anyways, I'm gonna go shopping. Microsoft just warned all H-1B employees in foreign countries on vacation to come back to the United States immediately because starting tomorrow, Trump has implemented a pretty unexpected executive order where instead of $1,000, the H-1B visa application fee is now $100,000. He just 100x the fee. Also changed other rules like making the minimum salary to get an H-1B go up to $150K from $60K. The first is because Trump sees even legal immigration as taking jobs away from Americans. But the problem, of course, is that companies have not been able to find enough skilled engineering talent in the United States, which is why they're looking at people abroad. The other reason he's doing this is you might remember we covered him firing the labor statistics chief because he didn't like the job numbers, but unfortunately firing her doesn't actually change the job numbers, which haven't been looking that hot even though the market is doing well. And by decreasing legal immigration, it does force companies to hire American workers instead, even if they're not skilled enough for those roles. The other way to get job numbers back up would be to take away tariffs because that gives companies the predictability they need to start hiring again. But obviously he doesn't want to do that, so this is an alternative where he just stops the visa programs, and that probably would pump the job numbers up. The other reason is he wants to pay down the American debt. Last year there were 500,000 applications for H-1B visas that companies submitted, which would have raised $500 billion if they had all paid $100,000. Of course, once the $100,000 fee is implemented, most people are not going to submit applications anymore, but Trump is still estimating like $100 billion could be made from this program because he's also letting people buy visas on their own for $1 million. I do think a lot of exceptions will be made to this pretty insane rule, especially for his friends. Like, my pod prediction is that he's going to give Zuck and all the people that were like front row at his inauguration an exception or have some type of backdoor loophole. So if he does do that, the real people that'll get screwed over in this are tech startups as well as hospitals, because a lot of people in residency in the US right now, as well as doctors in rural areas, are on H-1B programs.
Companies are now going to have to pay $100,000 per H-1B worker that they have. Trump's base is pretty happy because they don't really care if you're documented or undocumented. They don't want immigrants coming here. Trump is also claiming that this is going to bring back jobs to Americans, which probably won't. You have to understand that H-1Bs are not like evil and stealing your jobs. Tech companies are sending them to H-1B workers because they know they can exploit them. 60% of H-1B workers are paid well below local median wage. So tech companies can pay them less and they can make them work ungodly hours because they know that their immigration status is tied to their employment. So if you lose your job as an H-1B worker, you have 60 days to find a new one, otherwise you're out. The companies that were using these workers to cut costs are not going to just magically start giving these to Americans that are going to ask for more money. They're probably just going to outsource the jobs. Another interesting thing here is the timing of this. So 75% of H-1B workers are Indians, and he has not been getting along well with India recently. So maybe this is retaliatory.
For fellow internationals and anyone working in the US on a visa, we are cooked. So Trump just signed an executive order that adds $100K yearly fee on H-1B visas. So in simple terms, what this means is that your company will have to pay the government $100,000 every single year on top of your salary just for them to be able to hire you. This is insane. As you can imagine, this will be extremely devastating to all internationals if it doesn't get blocked by the Congress or the Supreme Court. Because it basically makes it extremely hard for companies to hire and retain international talent. And if you have ever tried to get a job in this country as an international, you know how extremely hard it already is. So now this is going to make it just like 100x harder. It's going to be nearly impossible to get a job unless you're like, you know, a top AI researcher who's like sought after by the top labs or something. Canada, here I come. No, but seriously, it might be worth it to start considering other immigration options or, you know, different visas like the O1 visa that doesn't have this applied to. Again, this is major news for all internationals in the US. I really hope it gets blocked because otherwise it will severely impact international talent and high-skilled immigration in America. But I guess we'll find out more over the next few weeks.
This H-1B executive order is going to expose America's mediocrity problem. You will soon realize that America's greatest export is the fruits of the labor provided by the people they import. Silicon Valley runs this world, and they couldn't have done it without H-1Bs. Your phone, the internet, almost every fucking app you use was built by an H-1B. America's big tech companies and oligarchs are not moved by this. And slowly, you all are going to realize that they don't give a shit about America. Because by disincentivizing H-1Bs, you're just giving them more incentive to outsource completely to India or China. Cheap labor is the name of the game. The moment America becomes unprofitable, their interests no longer align. Hypocrisy is also blatant with the introduction of the gold card. These people will scream America first from the rooftops, but suddenly a $5 million payment is enough to become American? Oh right, the only American value they care about is money. As if this country isn't already corrupted by rich elites, let's bring in some more from different countries. Because fuck assimilation, money is our culture. Believe it or not, we don't have a plethora of domestic talent. Our education system is mid, but of course there's no talks to reform that. But instead they target some of the most productive members in American society. Disincentivizing H-1B recruitment in favor of US citizens is like Kim Jong-un in North Korea hosting his own Olympics, but forgetting to invite the rest of the world on purpose, just to increase team morale. Participation trophy. It's myopic. It doesn't solve anything. Why is America behind? Why is America average? You're not making America great. You're at a critical time exposing us as mediocre. You are stifling innovation in the tech sector during the AI arms race. And you will soon see that big tech corporations really don't give a shit about what the president says. Because if Mark Zuckerberg became president, he would lose a significant amount of power. Wrap your mind around that.
Trump just signed an executive order that imposes a $100,000 fee on the H-1B visa, which is really just as well because the AI development was getting out of hand. We needed to slow that shit down anyway. He also re-unveiled the gold card, which now costs $1 million, which is essentially just a VIP line for Disneyland, but for staying in America. I guess if you've got the cash, you might as well ride the becoming a resident roller coaster in first class. By the way, we have no method to collect this payment, but I digress. Trump's immigration policy is just now a luxury paywall. Make America Great Again is just turning into Make America Gated Again. The next thing you know, crossing the border will come with a resort fee and a 2-drink minimum. Thank you for entering the U.S. Enjoy your bottle of despair and a coupon for the overpriced healthcare. You know who can afford the 100K visa? The same people that were already building AI to replace Americans. Congratulations, you've outpriced the struggling immigrant and replaced him with Elon Musk's AI chatbot. You know it's dystopian when the American dream is now a premium feature. You can't get in with hard work anymore. You can only get in with a black Amex and a LinkedIn profile that ends with .ai.
Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your lovely host Beryl, and I hope that you are enjoying yourself wherever you are in every part of the world. Welcome. Let me not waste much of your time. If you're new here, please subscribe. Yes, I'm talking to you. So you've seen the video compilation that I just made, right? And if you're like, we need to pay attention, everybody, wake up. If you're working in the United States on a H-1B visa, especially if you are from India, you need to hear this because the rules have actually changed. If you're from India with a H-1B visa, you need to be paying attention to these videos. Please go back and listen to them, or just let me explain it. Let me not over explain, let me just keep it simple. So for many years, the H-1B program has actually allowed skilled Indians, professionals, to build lives, careers, and futures in America. Okay, they were allowed to continue to grow themselves in America. But now, a major pivot. The United States government has announced a one-time fee of $100,000 for new H-1B visa petitions. I repeat, the US government has announced a one-time fee of $100,000 for new H-1B visa petitions. A massive jump that's actually sending a lot of shockwaves through the tech industry. And although the policy doesn't apply to everybody, the message is very clear. You can no longer assume business as usual. Yeah, you had it right, $100,000. Where are you gonna get that kind of money? So this change has actually left many Indian professionals just scrambling, and flights have been cancelled, holidays have been cut short. Remember, we are headed to Christmas season, the holiday season, they have been cut short. Travel plans have actually been reversed, lives on hold because of all of this. One engineer actually told Reuters that everything is changing in an instant. Everything is changing in an instant, and it's not just about the money, it's about the career stability for you and your family. Okay? Suddenly, the future isn't certain. They're not so sure of anything as we speak. The future is not certain, it's very dim. And why is this happening? The United States administration is arguing that the H-1B program has actually been used by some employers to underpay foreign labor to the disadvantage of American workers. But for Indian workers, this actually means that what looked like a secure path in in a new place is now just shaky and just foreign. The ideal of going to America for opportunity may need to be a rethought. Because where are you gonna get $100,000? Where? In this generation, in this economy? If you are on a H-1B visa program or you're just applying, here's what you should ask yourself. Are you working for an employer who supports and protects your status? Can you weather a sudden policy shift? And what are your backup plans if things change? Things are changing all of a sudden, any day, things are changing. So, this isn't just to scare anyone about it or just to make anyone scared. It's just a reality check. And if you found this video helpful, please hit that subscribe button. We are at 300 subs. We're gonna hit your 1,000 subs. And this holiday season, I know you're gonna make it. Yeah, so just share this information with anyone on the H-1B visa program and comment, comment on this video. What's your plan if your visa timeline gets disrupted? Let that conversation start in the comment section. Please take care of yourself. Mwah. Bye.